38 years, shoveling coal. Filling the skip, empty the skip, shovel more coal. It was hard work, bloody oath. It wasn't for everyone. There was something about it that kept me going. Working down here with your mates, you were your own boss. We were like kings, in a way. And this was our palace for 38 years. Goes so fast. I was just a kid when I started, 15 years old. Bloody terrified when I first went down. The dark. Tons and tons of rock above you. Groaning and complaining. Like you had no right to be here. Little splinters of wood holding it all up. Somehow you got used to it. Well, at least until I had a close call. I was never the same since. I was working with old Jock. End of a hard day, dead tired. I should have been putting a prop up over us where we were working, but I wasn't up to it. We figured that we'd fill one last skip and call it a day. Then crash! A fall. Missed us by inches. And me and Jock, we're just standing there, looking at each other. Eyes like saucers. Talk about shakes. Then I realised it was my fault. What if old Jock had been killed? Later on, when we got to the pub, I said to old Jock, "Tonight, old mate, the drinks are on me." It's my way of saying I'm sorry. But I never forgot it. Down here, the life of your mates is in your hands. You learn to look out for others. You learn to trust. Because you know they're looking out for you. That's why I'll never find better friends than the men I worked with. Never. And that's why, if I had my time over, I'd do it all again. Just the same.
And now to the mine explosion in Collinsville. It has been confirmed that 7 men have perished in the worst mining disaster that has ever struck the North Queensland mining town. 16 children are fatherless and 6 wives husbandless as a result of the tragedy. At around 5:50 p.m. last night, the 7 miners from the closely related township were engulfed and killed in a wave of poisonous black damp gas.
Number 1 mine, where the men were killed, as the doctor explained to my father when my father asked him whether the men had suffered when they died. He said, no, when you're in that concentration of carbon dioxide, it is very quick. It is 1 breath of carbon dioxide, a next attempt to breathe, and you're dead. He said, it is that quick.
Artificial respiration, when the doctor came over and told us to stop because we weren't doing any good because they were dead. So we stopped, and I looked at the fellow to see who he was. And it turned out it was a bloke I'd gone to school with when I was really young, and I knew him as well as anything. His name was Hoppy Shropsole. And he was dead, and Bert Ruff was another one that was dead. Anyhow, I remember standing there, and they said they'll take the bodies away. And by that time, half the town ended up turning up there. And they're all crowding around the tunnel mouth. And yeah, the police were right there by then, and they were keeping everybody back. And I'll never forget this Bert Ruff, his son and his wife. They only lived just across the gully in MacArthur Street. And they saw the commotion over at the mine. They walked over, and the doctor had to go and tell them that her husband was one of the fellows that was on the stretcher.
At a particular time, I was the ambulance bearer on shift, and we never had a thing to help anybody with. We were just on our own. And to make it worse, we had one fella there we worked on trying to keep him alive. We got him to service. And there was people running down the tunnel and switching the belt off and all this sort of thing. And the last stop, we lost our patient. And there was not a thing done about it. There was nobody there to stop the people from running down the mine. It was just forgotten.
About 5 o'clock, I think it was, or 6 o'clock, whenever Daph's mother come racing over. Her son was down there, and we jumped in the car and went over. And by that time, some of the men were already out. They come up on the belt. They'd already, laid them out. Yes.
7 of our mates killed. I got their names there. And that's about all that we could do. We all went over, but they brought them up, they were wrapped up, they were dead. There was nothing that could be done for them. The doctor was down there with them, and a pound announced them all dead. So they had to wrap them up and bring them up to the surface.
Mick! I'm still here. So?
What's going on here?
Why?
We know this mine back to front, so how come we can't find our way out?
I'll tell you what, Pike. Why don't you take a walk up there along A10 and tell us what you find? You okay?
It was a body.
Did you see who it was?
Yeah. It was you.
Ain't life strange? So I guess now you understand? So, who wants a smoke?
Sure, why not? What about that, Pete?
Rules, eh?
I think this means don't come Monday, fellas.
Oh, you ripper!
Been a good mate, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure working with you partners. Remember that 10 quid you owe me?
Yeah, I do.